Hello everyone, Lawrence Fleming. I'm set up on my new campsite. It's a little different than I'm used to, so I've got to get used to the features that I have and don't have. My last couple of campsites were full water and power. Here I don't have that, so I have to be more self-sufficient. So I have water that I've packed down here. I'm going to have to get another jug full, but I'll do that tomorrow. I got enough for today and into tomorrow. I've got electricity in the form of a solar power generator battery, so I should be okay. And I got a Wi-Fi password from the Rangers, so I've got a way to upload videos. I was telling them what I was doing, and they went ahead and gave me the password, so I don't have to go all the way to that gas station that I went out earlier and found. Just up to the visitor center, and then I can get out there. It's not super fast, but I can sit on the porch in a rocking chair. They gave me permission to do that. Okay, I uploaded a video last night of my trip here. If you're into that kind of stuff, go ahead. There's no real teaching of it. It's just a travel log. I tried to hold the camera in the car, which I'm not technically supposed to do. I finally taped it to my steering wheel, and then you find yourself going back and forth as it's going around the wheel, so that didn't work. I have a stand that's I clip it to for my hands-free part, but it only allows the phone to be vertical, not horizontal the way I'm filming, and so I didn't do it that way. But it can see straight ahead, but only vertical. I don't like doing that, so I managed to get a few pieces for you. Some of them I stopped for, so I didn't have to do that. I always picked an area where it was clear. Okay, so you can see where I'm at. I'm back out in nature. This time, right now, I'm the only one in this campsite. Now, there's plenty of RV sites up on the hill, but these are for more dedicated campers. It's like 100 yards to carry my stuff into. I originally signed up for the hike-in part of it, but 5 miles in, 5 miles back, and I realized I have too much gear to do that. So fortunately, these were open, and I'll be here for a week. All right, the lesson for today. No excuses, people. Everybody finds someone to talk to, find something to do. We don't have a lot of time. Doesn't matter if you're homebound. I pray for you if you've asked for it here. But there's a reason for it. There are plenty of people who are homebound. Maybe your job is to call them up and ask how they're doing. Is there anything they need? Somebody could be doing the same thing for you. Find out if your church has a list of homebounds that need to be checked up on, make sure everybody's okay. There's plenty of work. If we've never done it before, find somebody to do it with. If you've never done a visitation, find someone to do it with. If you've never gone witnessing and handing out tracts, find someone to do it with. Don't put it off. This is something you can't put off now. I can tell by the things in my life that we're running out of time. When God gives me something, He's providing for me to do something. As I run out of things to do, that means I've already got enough to do. He's not giving me anything further than this. This is all He wants me to do until He comes back, which is not very long. We're not going to know. The second coming, yeah, He's going to come with an army. Everybody's going to know. This here is a saving statement, saving movement. Saving us from what? World War III, nuclear bombs, asteroids coming down. I don't know. Doesn't matter. We're being saved. We've never been at a time like this in the history of the world. There have been millions of people killed in different events, different wars, different plagues. Doesn't matter. And there was never a need for a rapture. So this has got to be something horrific. Now, I'm only speculating, guessing, but my guess is Satan's going to come down here madder than hell. It's appropriate to apply it to him because he's going to get kicked out of heaven. He doesn't like coming down here. He comes down here to torment God and us. But he lives in heaven. He's had access to his luxury condo up there or whatever he's got. Coming down here, that's beneath his mental capacity to accept. So he's going to be mad. He's going to be looking to take it out on somebody. We're going to be ready-made. And I think that's why the rapture is going to happen, and that's why we don't know. Maybe it happens at night because he can't, Satan's not omnipresent. He's got to see who he's slinging his arrows out to and try to hit. Maybe he can't see well at night. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Again, we don't know. But we're running out of time. The threat of World War III is ever present. We don't want to see that. And we don't want anybody that we know to see that. So we got to get the message out. And first off, what is the message? So let's take a look at Romans. And I'm going to start in verse 26. Likewise, the Spirit also helps us in our weakness. For we do not know what we should pray, or what we should pray for as we ought. But the Spirit himself makes intercessions for us with groanings that cannot be uttered. Now, he who searches the hearts knows what the mind of the Spirit is, because he makes intercession for the saints according to the will of God. The Holy Spirit will guide us. He'll strengthen you. If you're weak in an area, that's the best situation you can be in, because then God has to step in. All right, get my speed reading here going a little bit better. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. God's not going to ask you to do something he doesn't want you to do, just to make you do something. There's enough real work to do without giving us busy work. And for whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Moreover, whom he predestined, he also called. Whom he called, these he also justified. And whom he justified, these he also glorified. So he's doing all the work. All you do is just have to step forward. Say, I'm ready. What then shall we say to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? These should be familiar verses. He who did not spare his own Son, but delivered him up for all of us. God gave us Jesus on a cross. That's an amazing thing. That's what he did for us. So he's not done doing things for us, because now we belong to Jesus, and he loves Jesus too. So we're in. We've been adopted. How shall he not with him also freely give us all things? Who shall bring a charge against God's elect? Well, Satan's been trying for a long time, but now he can't. And he's just about ready to get kicked out of heaven. So who is he who condemns? It is Christ who died, and furthermore, he also is risen, who is even at the right hand of God, who also makes intercession for us. Every one of us. I don't know how he does it. It's not just you and me. There's millions and millions. And yet he can intercede for all of us simultaneously. I don't know. It's God. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? These are all things that are around us. And we're told about more to come. Birth pangs are going to get worse. But who can separate us from the love of God? Now, what I am charging you to do is to get out and start helping people. Start slow, start small, but don't take too long because we don't have much time. Work with those around you. But you may find it may be easier to work with a total stranger than with friends and family. Jesus himself said he was rejected in his hometown. Don't expect people that know you to recognize the change is from God. They may look at it as an ulterior motive to get in somebody's good graces, but not to help them save their lives. Okay, this is a familiar parable. And we're going to find here that this is somebody who's a lawyer, not someone who's easily looked upon with good thoughts, because we see too many what they can do. Everybody needs someone to defend them. But when we know somebody bad gets off because their lawyer is better, it gives them a bad connotation. But anyhow, we have a lawyer who's taught to debate. And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tested him, saying, "Teacher, what should I do to inherit eternal life?" This also applies to when you're talking to people. He said to him, "What is written in the law? What is your reading of it?" He was asking Jesus. He wanted to know about that. And then Jesus says, "Well, what is written in the law? What is your reading of it? How do you understand it?" So he answered him and said, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." When Jesus was asked, what's the number one commandment, what's the one thing we can do? Well, he said it's two, and these are what they are. And Jesus answered him and said, "You have answered rightly. Do this and you will live." Seems simple enough, but it's not. Not without the Spirit helping us. But he, the lawyer, wanting to justify himself, said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Looking for a legal excuse not to do what Jesus asked. And Jesus answered him and said, "A certain man went down to Jerusalem, from Jerusalem to Jericho, and fell among thieves who stripped him of his clothing, wounded him, and then departed, leaving him half dead." Now, by chance, I don't know if these are true stories. They sound like they could be, but I don't know. But it's a parable. It's a parallel example of how you are to do what you're supposed to do. Now, by chance, a certain priest came down the road, and when he saw him, the wounded man, he passed by on the other side. Likewise, a Levite, when he arrived at the place, came and looked and passed by on the other side. A Levite, that's how the order of priests all come from, the Levites. These are supposed to be holy men of the day. These are the kind that Jesus mocked all the time. Okay. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. So he went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. And he set him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. And the next day, when he departed, he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said, "Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, when I come again, I will repay you." So which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to him who fell among thieves? This has got to be touching. Jews hated Samaritans. They wanted nothing to do with them. They were Jews too, but they're living on the other side of the tracks. Whatever you want to compare it with today, they hated him. He said to him, "He who showed mercy on him." And Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." So we are to find people that need help. It doesn't matter where they're from. It doesn't matter where we're from. We're to help people. That's a big key. Tell people about the gospel while you're doing it. So if they have a need, help them with their need, and while you're doing it, tell them about Jesus. That's a perfect opportunity. If you just walk up and bang on a door, people may or may not let you in, especially with that reputation of people who do bang on doors. But if we're there to help them, if they've got to mow their grass because they've injured themselves and can't get out and do it, ask them if you can mow their grass for them. They'd be happy to supply the mower. But whatever you're going to do, find somebody that needs help. Fix them a meal. You got new neighbors in the neighborhood? Fix them a meal. If you don't want to do it alone, find the church near you, or if you're already part of one, go ask them, "What can I do to help?" You don't have to tell them why. You don't have to tell them, "I think we're running out of time and we've only got a short while. I want to try to help people." That's a motive that maybe they won't understand. Just say you want to do some more to help. Spread the word. Every church of any size, even small ones, I'm sure, but I've always been involved in ones that are, 100 or more. But every church of every size has got a visitation group that goes out and visits people in hospitals and nursing homes. If you've got a talent, if you can play the piano, you can go do that. They need stuff like that. A lot of the nursing homes, and I know because my mother was in one, their family just dumps them there. They figure because they're paying a large amount of money to keep them there, that they don't have to visit. Now, they may visit for a little while, but I visited my mother every day that I could, that I wasn't working. It didn't matter, even when she lost her memory, or short-term memory, and didn't know I was there. I had to take pictures, and the next time I was there, I'd show her. That was the only way she knew I was there. Find a way to make it work. But there's other people there that have no family to visit. Maybe their family's gone. Maybe they're the last one. I'm the last one in my family. I have some nieces and nephews, but there's nobody older. My parents are gone. Their brothers and sisters are gone. I'm it. Doesn't matter. I've always got God, and there will be plenty that I will see again. So you just have to keep busy. Keep busy. Little things don't bother you. If there's a big thing, think about why it's there. Is it something you're supposed to tackle? And put on the cleaning gloves and tackle it. If it's something to block you from going a certain direction, okay, God, what do you want? It's there for a reason. Everything is there for a reason. Get out there and start telling people. I don't know if these coming holy days are going to have anything to do with it. I know that Israel is now celebrating its 74th year anniversary of being a country. They're never on exactly the same time frame we are. Our time frame would have been May 14th, So I don't know why they're celebrating now. I could go back and look it up, but it doesn't matter. We've always been on slightly different time frames. And I'm not a practicing or any other related Jew. I just went to synagogues and learned a lot of this stuff when I was younger. But I don't remember a lot of this stuff because I was too young. I learned a little bit of the alphabet. I can read a little bit of it, reading from right to left. But that's it. It helps me when I'm looking up words to recognize how the word's broken into pieces. Everything is basically, Hebrew is sort of like Spanish, if you're familiar with that. More people would be familiar with Spanish than with Hebrew. Words have the same meanings, or same, it can either be a male or a female word. It can be plural, singular, male, feminine. You can have those same attributes. And you can put them together. When we see the word Elohim, which is in the beginning God, Elohim is the plural of God. Anytime you've got El, Bethel, house of God, know that the original language was very picture-like, sort of like the Egyptians' hieroglyphics. Use pictures because picture can be 1,000 words. It's easier to draw more words into one picture than to try to spell it out like we do a lot of times. They later adopted a more simpler form, the Aramaic. They did that when they went to Babylon. And that's what we see today. If you open up a standard Hebrew Bible, those block letters, that's Aramaic. It's very close, so it was easy for them to pick up. Same basic letters, they just had a block form. The Aleph, the crossing, those are basically ox horns. And Bet, little box, it's a house. So they all meant something originally. Okay, enough a Hebrew lesson from an amateur. But it helps. To learn some of these side pieces, you learn why the people thought the way they did, how they communicated. It's important. You can't just go read a verse without knowing who, when, where, why, all that. And don't pull the verse out unless you compare it with every other verse in the Bible. Because that's what a lot of these so-called other religions have done. If you want to do that, then you can come up with all kinds of weird stuff. All right. Get out there. We don't have much time. It could be in the next week or two. It could still be sometime this year. It seems like it has to be for the fig tree generation to work. But how do we have the fig tree generation applied here? Are we applying it correctly? At worst case, all of our timing is based on the end, not the beginning. So there's only a difference of 7 years if we're totally wrong on our interpretation. 7 years in the time frame of God, it's batting an eye. It's not very long. So start helping. And if you really, really cannot get out, if you're bedridden or can't leave the house or are afraid to leave the house, call. Call your church first and ask if they have a home service for those that can't get out, where you can call and check up on people. Somebody who's unable to get out, getting a phone call would cheer them up immensely. There's all kinds of ways to help. If you've got enough income and can't go out, you could send somebody food. We have all these delivery services. DoorDash, Grubhub, everybody's got them now. You can order somebody a meal. That would cheer them up, especially if they really can't get up and do things. There are countless ideas of what you can do. So get out there and apply it. Don't go bragging about it. We're not trying to get you in good standing with anybody. We're trying to do what Jesus would have done. Be the servant. And it's hard. If you've been housebound, it's hard to learn to be a servant when you've had servants helping you. If you've been sick, you've got nurses and doctors and family helping you. It's hard to reverse that. Think about it. Ask God to help deal with whatever you're dealing with. And if it doesn't go away, then He wants you to use it. With God's love, of course, and He will supply both the means and the love to go with it. You don't have to do anything. Just be there. Be willing to do what He asks you to do. And it won't be anything beyond what you're capable of. You have the ability to do whatever God wants you to do. All right. I may do a shorter video tomorrow. It's my birthday, and I'll be in mourning all day. Can't figure out how to stop these things. As long as I stay in good health, I'll be happy with it, and I seem to be, under God's grace, every time I get something, He helps me, so I'll try to celebrate. But I won't be drinking, and I probably won't be eating cake. I'm forced to eat healthy. Oh, and I just reached my limit. Okay, I'm going to be quiet here so I can get this edited and get it uploaded tonight. The Wi-Fi is up all night, but I can't get back in my campsite after 7, so I got to get going. Until we meet in the skies, God bless.